Hey everybody, Mark Agnesi here for Gibson Guitars, and today I'm very excited to show you the brand new redesigned Gibson Les Paul Standard 60s model from the new original collection at Gibson USA. We're making two versions currently of the Les Paul Standard, the 50s model and this, the 60s model. There are some features that they share and then there are some features that set them apart. Let's first talk about the shared features of these guitars. We listened to players, we listened to our artists, we made some changes over what we were doing in the past. First thing you're going to see on all new original collection guitars from Gibson USA is non-weight relieved mahogany. Solid mahogany is back on the Les Paul Standard. The other thing you're going to notice, you're going to have to tune it yourself. On the 60s model, we're using Grover tuners and nickel finish on all 60s models. The 50s models will have the Kluson Deluxe tuners with the keystone buttons like you'd see on a 59 Les Paul. But on the 60s, we went with more of a 60s feature with the Grover tuners and nickel. Other things that are similar between the two models, we are done with PCB pots, we are done with push-pulls on the Les Paul Standard. All of these guitars feature hand-soldered audio taper 500K pots from CTS, as well as orange drop capacitors. Now the things that set these two apart. This is the 60s model, which first thing that comes to mind between 50s and 60s is going to be that neck profile. This is going to feature our slim taper neck profile, which has a little bit less depth, a little bit less carve and curve around the neck, a little bit flatter and a little bit slinkier feel in the hand. All right. Second thing is that from an aesthetic standpoint, we have the reflector top knobs instead of the gold bells, which you'll see on almost all the 60s, or at least early 60s Gibson model guitars. Another difference between the 50s and 60s model is going to be the pickups. In the 50s model, we're using the Alnico 2 Burstbucker 1 and 2, which is very, very similar to that classic PAF late 50s sound. This guitar, the 60s model, is going to be using the 61R and 61T respectively in the bridge and neck, which have an Alnico 5 magnet, a little bit more juice, a little bit higher output, kind of give you those 60s era tones. That, along with the Grover tuners, are kind of the features that are going to set the 60s apart from the 50s model standard. This is also available in 3 iconic finishes. I am holding the Iced Tea finish right here. We're also doing the guitar in what we call Unburst, which would be very similar to a faded out Sunburst, which would be kind of like almost like that lemon drop kind of feel, and then also in Bourbon Burst, which brings you in that kind of dark, rich hues around the outside. And all 3 of those iconic finishes are set off by the classic amber switch tip. 3 iconic finishes for 1 iconic guitar. It's the new Les Paul Standard 60s version.